Welcome back to Indian Trace, an opportunity to stir up our appreciation, stir up our love, to give you a very good sense of what you can find in eastern central North Carolina. Here's part two, this pile. Now, if you jump to this video first, the video that preceded it came from a pile that produced that. Unbelievable. But they're all from the exact same one display keeping place that I have for my display quality pieces. And these are favorites in size and styles. And you know the certain artifacts that you find that touch your heart. And I just said, okay, I know exactly where this is going to go and sleep for a while. And some of these have slept for 4 years, 5 years. And so just excited because we can come from laying them out like that and just appreciating them. And I think everybody who collects artifacts does the layout deal with themselves or maybe for others. And I hopefully that people will get some stuff out of this. We're going to look through this. This is 5 years altogether. These are 5 years worth of my very favorites that go in one particular bin, a double bin in my, as many of you know, tackle box. And this is one that I found almost 5 years ago. As we start off the lineup, right? Just take a look at this. Great stuff. I have been more than proud. Even though there's a lot of troubles going on, I've been more than proud of the leadership decisions that our president has been making. Yeah, that's controversial just to some people who just refuse to admit the things that are necessary to make our nation great again. That doesn't mean that we haven't made mistakes as a nation, everybody. That doesn't mean anything, but except for recognizing, look at these 2 points. I'm going to try something going up on these. That was found at Mecca. So I won't get off on that too much, but please, if you have any curiosity about my heart or interest in what's going on, and I make certain comments people don't understand, please check those out first. They will make so much sense. Look at this piece. Found at the Bear. And I think as we go through these points, it's going to also help people realize things. Now, I would caution you, as any good book will caution you, not to just flip by a flea market and start buying American Indian artifacts. If you've watched Indian Trace a lot, you're going to get a good perspective. Some of you already have it because you're veterans. You've collected 3, 4, 5 times longer than I ever have. Look at that point. That point's from the archaic. And you know the difference between fake and authentic. But some people don't. And I guess the best way to combat that is to have a very big and strong diet of the authentic. Looking at it, feeling it, knowing it. Amazing. It's a great point from Crosslands. You'll get the feel of the styles that I've decided to put into this particular category and bin. Piece from Mecca. And I will say this in final thought concerning the geopolitics and importance of politics of North American Indian artifacts. It's a shame some of the things that have transpired in our awareness as Americans as to information and the reality of what's actually happening in the world. But as Americans, I think we have a whole lot more leverage and power to make a difference in sharing information and sharing truth than so many nations. You know, I think it's a scriptural principle that we never use our freedom as anything but a responsibility to help other people There's lots of people who are not free, who suffer under tyranny. And I think that we can work together to help everybody in this world have a better life. Look at those 2 points, right? This point right here came from Notchville. Just an incredible piece. Hopefully you're not bouncing around too much. Sort of a hands-on trip to the Indian Trace Museum. That piece came from Whitestone. The funny thing about it is, in looking at it this side, look at that, looks broken. It's actually a black tip. And look at it this way. If you look at it the right angle, it looks like, oh, there's a chip there. But then, if you get looking at it real close, you'll see that it is actually a black tip. Pretty neat. Anyway, it's about the people behind these. So as I go through these, just to take a little fun from them, a little sharing, it's amazing to me. This is the evidence that I have that weather turns, conditions turn, I go out, it's going to keep on coming in. That piece right there is actually from a site that I don't even get out to anymore. Down near the river. Can't do it. It's just too difficult for me to even get there. And this is from the dunes. Rhyolite. Rhyolite. Hope we had enough light. So it's overcast and my goodness, I'm trying to get through this and not to belabor the point too much, but I also want to take my time because I've had a lot of people say, hey, slow down, let me see them. And they like to relax and watch some of these. So, we all hit it big. We all benefit. Because if I were in anybody else's shoes and I didn't get to find as much as this, I don't even know what to do with it all, It's not coming in the focus. There we go. Or these groups, or this group becomes overwhelming. But if I didn't get to, and I remember when I never imagined being able to, I would tune in and go through the videos and watch, whether it's Richard's Rock House or whatever, and I would be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? He finds those kind of things? I mean, I literally would say those sort of things. Anyway, that's a good piece of rhyolite right there. But now, that was then and this is now. I've realized when you just keep moving forward the best you can, good things happen when you find the right locations. Look at this piece. Incredible stuff. Here's a relatively new piece from the garden. The context that we have for these artifacts changes. Changes so much depending on what kind of finder you are, what kind of sites you have, and how successful you are at finding artifacts. The context of how you categorize artifacts changes. Definitely changes. It doesn't make any artifact less than another or more than another, but just the way you see them, the way you categorize them, definitely changes. I have to be honest with myself. But it doesn't take away from any find. Look at that piece found at Smoke Alley. It's a great piece to find. Some of these are on video, some of them are not. My goodness, I don't know how to handle that side. It's getting too big. But I can take some of the smaller ones, like I found this at Mecca. I remember it was just a really great style. There was a vein in it. There we go. And it allowed that little piece to fall out. Just a great piece. You can see it there. Do I have another small piece that'll fit? This piece from Notchville. The first time I became real interested in artifacts was in Utah when I was at an Anasazi Museum. It was outside Arches National Park, and I was looking at the artifacts in there and points and everything, and it didn't dawn on me that it was possible as a civilian, I call it, in my job, to go out and find and have my own collection. I mean, it didn't even dawn on me. So I didn't go out the door saying, man, I wish I could find those. I just didn't even think it was feasible. Of course, I would have loved to, if you've had an interest in North American Indian artifacts before you realized you could find them. I'm trying to shore up the middle because I had a lot here. Here's a piece that's a great piece from. If I don't hold this still enough, it doesn't focus. And take my time to do it just because some of you out there absolutely love these artifacts and the people that made them just as much as me, and each one tells a story. It's a great piece right here from Notchville. But anyway, that was then and this is now. Now I realize you can find them. It's mind-blowing. A little bit of effort and a little bit of exercise, or a lot of exercise, I should say. Look at this point from the lookout. I mean, to tell you, that's a smoking bin, isn't it? And so I'm just doing this in the casual form. Maybe like somebody would be perusing a museum. We already had a good look at all those. That's crazy. That's the group over there. Goes in the same place, and this is part 2 right here that we're checking these out. I mean, there's just not one bad point. B&B field here, which is right next to Mecca. And I mean, almost 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, some of these videos were on there. Just craziness. All right, let's keep building up. Point here from the Falcon. I mean, some of these points were found when some of the areas and new sites that I have hadn't even been discovered yet. You know how it is. And you add an area here, an area there every year, and you just feel blessed because you found another North American Indian site that produces artifacts. I mean, can you even imagine that? I can't. I mean, I can't. Yeah, I do find them, and I show you guys these. This is a great point. Very simple. But I like that a lot from Mecca. It's really ground, really smooth. There's a good show of it. And to finish, a point from far and away. I know, I won't ever forget, because this point and over here on this group, this point, those two, right there, I found on the exact same day. They come from the exact same spot. Just smoking stuff. You can see on the back of this one how they relieved it. Chipped it right up in there. How they relieved it on that. Look at that. I mean to tell you, right? And as my time clicks away, I'm going to leave that guy right there. He's one of my favorites. Just some great Stone Age North American Indian artifacts. Now from the top, on slow, as we finish. Appreciate you tuning in to Indian Trace. The heart and the spirit of it all, a lot goes into it. Reading, studying, knowing the North American Indian, understanding the power and strength of our own political influence and knowing what's going on in politics, so we, the people, steer the boat. That's what's got to happen more and more. Hasn't happened enough in the past. We've given up the reins of power to corrupt and deceitful people. That's going to stop. That has stopped. And that is what this whole liberty movement, if you will, that's been going on is about. Look at these points, will you? But all in all, appreciate you tuning in to Indian Trace. And that's the second group. Unbelievably stellar group. from Indian Trace, just in appreciation. Man, I haven't done a video of this group in maybe 3 years. Hope you find out there.